This is Phil Larson at Hope Connection and Community Transformation Initiative. So we're starting a study on living the good life, applying wisdom to your daily decisions in your daily life. I believe this. God doesn't call us to go to church. He calls us to be His church. And His church is a people. He calls us to be His people, the hope of the world. It takes a people together in Him, juntos en Él, live where you, your family, your neighbors, and your community live in health and prosper. That's my philosophy. That's our philosophy here at Community Transformation and at Hope Connection. So we're going to be talking about wicked problems and the theory of constraints as we go into the study of Proverbs. Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. Not all of the Proverbs were written by Solomon. They're written thousands of years ago, but not all written by Solomon. We'll bring in the other writers as we go along with this. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning. A man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. We're going to cover this in just the next few minutes. So Andy Rooney from 60 Minutes wrote this. I really like it. I was thinking of installing one of those automatic garage door openers over the weekend. The directions say, make certain the garage door is square and straight and the garage floor is level. Directions always read like that. Is everything in your home straight, square, and level? If my house was straight, square, and level, I would never have to fix anything. What we all need are directions that tell us what to do when everything is crooked, off-centered, and all screwed up. Einstein said it this way: we cannot solve the problems we have created with the same thinking that we used in creating them. Solomon's life. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That means those 700 wives were given to him by competing kings who wanted him to have children so they might have a chance to seal a contract or a treaty with Solomon in his country. And 300 concubines, other women with whom he was having sex and children. So he's got 1,000 women by whom he's having children. What do you think the possibility that he actually was having any interaction with his children whatsoever? An amazing number, all of them fatherless. Most of these wives were taken in consideration of a treaty with a neighboring nation. They were concessions and conciliations, not relationships, but they would be childbearing. Solomon may have been wise in world building and conquering other nations. He may have been wise in being the richest man on the planet, but he lacked some wisdom in some other areas, and he wrote these proverbs to his children to help them from making the same mistakes he made. He learned a lot as he studied people, but he made mistakes, and he wanted to communicate to those thousands of children what would keep them on the right path. So life should be a good life. It should be filled with good relationships and friendships and finances and health, good community, good peace of mind, good family, and good congregation. Solomon spent a lifetime of mistakes and learning. Let's learn from him. These proverbs have a purpose. He wanted to pass on to the hundreds of sons and daughters of his wives real wisdom attained in the path of mistakes in pursuit of happiness. He had a tangled life. To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. Equity doesn't mean justice. Equality doesn't mean justice. This is equality. Look at this picture. Right? But the little guy on the right, he doesn't get to see anything. Now, justice is that they all get to see. To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. For a minute, don't think about that. Let's think about this. There's 4 items that give us good community and a good home life. One of the challenges is to make just decisions. Fairness is not what we want. Fair decisions are typically inequitable. One child is athletic and looks to express himself in sports. One child is studious and looks to express herself in science. It might be fair to raise each of them in the same amount of time in each area, but it would not be equitable to their makeup and personality. Equity looks to take care of each person according to their bend. Raise up a child according to their natural bend or according to the way they should go, Solomon writes. Fairness gives everyone the same thing. Solomon looked for equity according to situation and at the same time justice that ensured we did not shortchange one to take care of another. Justice is the meaning of the law. There are rules and remunerations and rewards and retributions for living according or against them. There are principles of relationship, finance, sowing and reaping, giving and receiving, punishment and reward. Some are eternal and part of created order. Some are ones we impose on ourselves in community by our legislation. Justice meets the law. Justice meets the law. Judgment is the application of the rules and laws and equities to individual situations. We need to be masters at that. Sometimes we make the wrong judgment with the right justice. We have unjust judges. That's not a good order. Wisdom helps us establish right rules and order in our homes, businesses, community congregations, groups, and relationships. And wisdom alerts us to when they need to be adjusted to justice and equity. Wisdom alerts us to good and bad judgments. Wisdom applies knowledge with right discretion for short and long-term results. So how would you define justice? If you could use another word, what would it be? Can you describe an injustice? Maybe you want to pause right here and think about that for a minute. I told you I wanted to talk about wicked problems in the theory of constraints. A wicked problem is one in which the nature of the problem changes each time you approach it with a new solution. There's plenty of these in large interconnected process systems. A work process may have 100 steps. I defined one once that had 250 steps, which if followed left a fair amount of certainty of good delivered product at the end of the process. But if you moved one step a different direction than design, you couldn't just go back and start every time. You might have to start at a different point. When we began to work on the process with our team across multiple departments, it was wicked. A change in marketing would create a problem in sales. Fix it in sales and a problem would crop up in the legal department. Fix it in legal and a problem would erupt in product development, and on it went. It was wicked. That's where the theory of constraints comes to play. This is like the whack-a-mole game, right? Plonk one head and another one pops up. Over and over the game goes. Except in a constraint theory, you may find the most troublesome spot and begin to work on it. It will begin to respond, and maybe another more troublesome spot erupts. Like in this wicked problem, if you take an intersecting line where there's 4 or 5 lines touching, work on that knot, then that'll move you to another knot, and you can take apart this wicked problem. A traditional problem just has one intersection to work on. It takes time, but it can work, and our lives are like that. Our life in Proverbs. There's many areas these writings cover. You may find one needs attention right now in your life. It's a major constraint. As you fix it, another may surface. Okay, fix it. Over time, you smooth out your entire life. To give prudence to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules and have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Think about that for a minute. But you do have to have prudence. Prudence keeps me from doing crazy things with my life and the lives of others. I might be crazy and I might do the wrong thing. So I need knowledge and discretion. I need to be able to balance it out. Physiologically, the power of good discretion builds in the 20s. Actually, it begins building at birth and develops at a strong crescendo in the mid to late 20s. Right wisdom exposure helps us develop well. Random facts do not develop wisdom. Principles build wisdom. Solomon knew he had to make a difference in the lives of us all to develop well. Voltaire said this, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. They can. If you believe in absurdity, you can commit an atrocity. If you can believe that person by the color of their skin is not as human as the next person, you can do some pretty atrocious things. Or by the race of their origin, you can duplicate Hitler and commit atrocities. So it's important to have prudence, knowledge, and discretion to not be following the absurd. To understand a proverb and enigma, the words of the wise and the riddles. Learning takes intensity and an open spirit in mind. Too often we consider only the mind and facts. It takes a willing spirit of learning, a lifelong adventure to engage a new view of truth. Truth is truth. It is not relative. However, our understanding of it is progressive. Truth is not relative. However, our understanding of it is progressive. It takes questioning and analysis. Have you ever worked for an employer who holds back information until you ask? It's exasperating. Or your dad or your mom or your aunt or your uncle or somebody trying to teach you something. But they do it. They want you to dig for the information to see if you're willing to go the extra mile. They also want to know if you're a learner and ready to receive, a coach. People who write poetry and proverbs are relatives of each other. They want you to be hungry and not just a casual observer. They want to know you want to know. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. How interesting that God wants us to understand life. He wants us to be wise. He wants us to be supported. And then it's not as simple as we want. The clincher is, a fool in the book of Proverbs describes someone who's inattentive, not listening, and goes their own way over and over regardless of the input of others. We've all met those people. Sometimes we've acted the role due to anger, frustration, persecution, abuse, something, lack of understanding. We want to be right thinkers and understand there are principles of the universe of created order, and if we'll follow those, it'll lead us in a good direction. It begins our search and quest for knowledge. This is Phil. You can call me. You've got my number. Phil@hclive.org. Hope C Connection LIVE.org. Give me some feedback. Send me a text. 405-388-8037. 405-388-8037. Let me know what you're thinking.